This is episode 2 of the Front Page podcast with Matt and Cauley. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Ross. Good to be here.
We've got
Hello,
a special
Ross.
guest today.
I'm melting a little bit in the heat
Yeah, same
in
up here
Liverpool, which is ridiculous.
in Glasgow. It's even more ridiculous.
I'm Ginger, think how I feel.
Yeah, so if anybody hears any sort of wuzzing sound in the background, that's my fan. Because
Yeah.
if I don't have it on, I will die.
The worst part for me is I've got a wasp hive right outside my window, so I can't even open my window to let the cold air in. So I'm just boiling in my room. Yeah.
So we're going to have a guest on in a little while. But first of all, before we do that, we're going to talk about a couple of the headlines from the last couple of days. Boys, so do you want to start with one of them, Cauley? What have we got? What are we going to be talking about today, first of all?
Ooh. Well, what are we starting off with? We're going to start off with Loughnan moving to PFL.
Okay, so Loughnan seems to have signed a contract with PFL. I don't know if it's been fully confirmed, but he's put a picture on Twitter. He's signing a contract saying, let's go and get that 1 mil. So, I mean, if it's not PFL, then it's going to be a big surprise, isn't it? So,
yeah.
His manager, I can't pronounce his name. Is it
Malky Kawa?
He put out a few days ago saying that there was an announcement inbound for him, for Loughnan. I'm sure I saw a tweet about that.
Yeah, he did, but then he didn't mention anything about it. But he seems to be too busy arguing with his with the website he's decided is going to do his fighter announcements. But there we go.
Throwing shade already. We're two podcasts in and he's throwing shade. Oh no!
Hey, come on, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So Loughnan in PFL, do we think he's got a chance?
I do.
To take home the $1 million.
He's good. I don't mean obviously this disrespectfully. He's untested in the American market, and really. Yeah. He's obviously trained with Dominic Cruz, and that's where he trains with high profile fighters. So he's got the skill, he's got the ability, hasn't he? Or he wouldn't have been on Contender Series. So I think.
And he performed really well in Contender Series as well. To be fair, so yeah, I think he'll do well, and hopefully, being a British lad, he can prove Dana White wrong for not signing him.
How did you both feel about Dana White's comments after it was on the Contender Series? Can you kind of see where it was coming from? I think it's just completely wrong.
I think he made a bit too big of a deal of it, to be honest.
That story blew up.
Yeah, I don't think... And considering since he signed 5 guys, 4 guys, and 3 guys in the show since, it seems a bit unfair, even more since then, considering how many he signed.
Seems like he's kind of sticking up his 2 fingers to everyone who caused that outrage by signing some people straight after he snubbed Brendan.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll make a name for himself over in America, but we'll see how that goes. So next we've got, I think, Whitaker and Adesanya has been confirmed to be in the Marvel Stadium in Melbourne. We always knew it was going to happen in October, but we didn't know where. And the stadium, 56,000 seater, so looks like it might be a record attendance for a UFC event.
Should be.
It's going to sell out, isn't it? It's going to sell out.
It should be huge, yeah.
I think again. I think Adesanya is the selling name, though. I love Bobby Knuckles. I'm rooting for Bobby Knuckles in the fight, but Adesanya is going to sell it.
Well, Bobby's Australian.
True.
He's the home fighter. He's a champion. He's called the Reaper. He's got the 2 best nicknames in the UFC, Bobby Knuckles and the Reaper. He's a class act. And I just don't think he's going to bow down to any of this stuff that Adesanya is going to say, and everyone will want to see him win, I hope. But he will get the Aussies in there, because he is a prop. I know he's born in New Zealand, but he says he's an Aussie. The Aussies love him, so I think they'll flop.
Adesanya is going to try to involve it. And you go, Cauley.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Ross.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, man. I was going to say, sorry, just quickly. To survive 2 soul snatchings from Yoel Romero counts for something. I don't care if you're in a fight of the year against Gastelum or not, mate. Yoel Romero takes people's lives with those hands, and Robert Whitaker just took every single punch. And I know he got floored a few times, but still, made of steel.
Yeah,
I did
he's
think
a
that
he's a hard
Romero
man.
won. I thought Romero won that second fight. Just
Oh,
saying.
Ross, don't blaspheme. Don't say blasphemy.
I did think that at the time anyway.
Yeah, I think it was one of those where I kind of think a draw could have been fair. I wasn't too pleased that Romero came in overweight. It's kind of be kind of removed. The title fight that was there was gone because of the weight,
Yeah.
overweight, and it wasn't. It was a really good fight, but I don't know. I just love Bobby Buckles, so I don't think Adesanya's got anywhere near enough for him at this point I mean, I say that at this point, Adesanya's just turned 30. It's not like he's a kid. I just think that Whittaker's on another level.
Yeah,
It's
he's
more
still kind
well
of coming into his prime though.
Whittaker,
Adesanya. No, I'd say Adesanya, turning like 30, kind of early 30s. So you could say he's like a fighting peak. Like I said, 20, you're still kind of developing skills, but when you
yeah,
hit kind of
definitely,
30, that's more your peak. So he's
yeah,
still just getting to the top of his game right now. So
yeah. He's got some improvement to do. But he's not a kid anymore. It's not like we're watching some 22-year-old who's taken the UFC by storm, and
yeah,
he's still got another 10 plus years at the top in him. But he's got some improvements to make, but I just don't think he's got enough to take Whittaker. But should be an amazing event anyway in a stadium setting, with a lot of crazy Australians going nuts. Should be a really good one. So I think we've got Askren possibly against Damian Maia in the works. How do we see that one going?
I take Askren to win that, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, neither of them have got particularly strong stand-up games.
No,
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
I
Maya
know what you're going to say.
I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. I'm going to say it. Maya takes it. I don't. Oh God! Just let me have a moment to like cry that I've said it.
You're allowed to say it, but you're wrong.
I don't want to say it. I like Maya, but I really don't want to say it. I love Askren. Absolutely.
It's gonna be one, maybe the kind of fight that Askren should have been given first up when he joined the UFC to get him. If he can beat Maya, that kind of character, then you can start looking further up the rankings. But
Can I just take back everything I've just said? Can I just take back everything I've just said? Because on actual research, I've decided that I'm wrong. Be wrong. I'm
that's
going to
quick.
take everything I've said back because I've just looked on his record now and actually thinking back, I think stupid ginger twat. He got smashed by not smashed, but he got beat by Tyron Woodley, didn't he? And then he got beat by Colby, and then he got beat by Usman, who are three class wrestlers. And Askren, I'd put Askren on the same level as all of them. So
yeah, in the wrestling department for sure.
yeah,
and he's not going to be out. He's not going to be out punched. He's not. Probably Maya's got better stand up, to be fair.
Yeah,
But it's not big enough a difference to to make the wrestling become a nullified factor. But yeah, I'd take Askren, but we don't know when it's going to be. Probably sometime to before 2020, I think. But
I think it'll be at MSG.
Yeah,
It'll be on the next Jones card just from how Dana's booked everything recently.
okay.
so
that one. Go on.
Hypothetically, if Askren was to lose, so what would be next for him? Because then he's really struggling at that point.
I think he'd probably retire at that point.
Probably. I mean,
because it's that kind of thing. It will become clear he's not built for the UFC if he loses that one. I would say.
Yeah.
Not at this point in his career, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully not, because I love the guy and I'd like to keep his very PG-13 trash talk going for a lot longer because he's really entertaining in my opinion. And we have, I guess before we get the guest on, maybe one more thing. Just that
I've spoke to him. He's awaiting us whenever we are ready. Well, it's
okay.
top blow.
So finally, then we're going to be Nick Newell has been signed to a 1-fight contract with Bellator. He's going to be facing Kerry Browning, and who beat Chalmers at Bellator Newcastle. Bit of a surprise result, but he looked really good on the ground. So it's going to be really tough for Newell, I think. So what do you guys think?
I think the whole one fight contract thing is quite clever by Newell because people were kind of questioning like why is it only one fight, but he used it as like a negotiation technique. He wants to go and put in a really good performance in his contract
What-
to get more money on his next contract.
What has it? Or is he just saying that to us because we don't land a one-fight contract?
I mean,
Yeah,
it seems clever.
because he did tell us. He said on our post on Twitter that he wants to make this one fight and then win it and get a better contract. But there is risk involved, but not from Bellator's side whatsoever because the fight is going to be in Connecticut, which is where he's from. So he's going to be putting bums on seats, as they say. It's going to be people are going to go there and watch him because he's local and he's got obviously other aspects that might get people coming to watch him. So if he wins, then good. They probably will offer him a new contract, but it's a win-win for Bellator because it's going to get people interested and it's going to sell the tickets for the event itself.
It's amazing though, what he's accomplished with obviously his disability, man. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean,
well, yeah, of course. I mean, you don't get many.
incredible,
I mean, it's hard enough to put a rear naked choke on with two arms. And he's choking people out. He's striking people. He's a really good fighter.
I felt so sorry for him, man. On a intense series, so sorry losing that decision. I thought this is it for him now, isn't it? And
yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on against a pretty tough opponent in Browning. So
definitely, man. I mean, his first loss he ever suffered was to Gaethje. So, and that's no small fate, is it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, many people will lose to Gaethje. So
yes.
If you want to, so that's a Bellator. That's our link to our guest. If you want to introduce him, Cauley, and get him in.
All right, and now we have got a very, 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 very special guest. He's headlining Bellator Dublin against James Gallagher. And yeah, he's an absolute beast. So are we going to ring him on? Should I give the proper, what you're saying, boys, the proper Bruce Buffer introduction?
I don't have the ability to do that, I don't think.
I don't have the ability to. Who are you talking to here? I am the future Buffer. I wish I was.
Well, then you haven't told us who it is yet.
I'm currently calling him. It is Cal Ellenor. There he is. He's on his way.
Hopefully
he's on his
so.
way. He's just in traffic.
He's been primed and ready. So Ellenor, for those who maybe don't know him so much, he used to fight in EFC in South Africa. He had a fight in ACB, which is now ACA in Russia. And he fought at Bellator Newcastle not too long ago as well. So hopefully we'll get him on and have a bit of a chat about some of those things.
Cauley, you slip into DMs, tell him to get on.
Oh, of course, damn it. I'm sliding in right now. I have slid in.
Oh, it says it's unavailable. I thought he was primed and ready.
He is primed and ready. You got to remember, man. He could be in the bath. He could be doing anything, man. Do you know what I mean? This man is preparing, man. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. Message has been read.
His takeaways arrived.
I hope he doesn't listen to this and think I'm going to choke all these. I hope he doesn't think that. I'm a fragile man. Well, boy.
Boy.
I'm sure he would just see it as, northern banter.
Yeah, he's said, "Wicked bro, call away, man." So I'm going to put on it.
He's been called currently.
Well, maybe we need Cauley to call because he's maybe expecting Cauley to call.
I think I'm a random person.
Oh, why is this have to happen to me now? Oh,
this is the pressure of live recording.
Skype has just got to be 2 minutes. Skype is loading. Skype waits for no.
Again on my screen, I've got Cal Ellenor unavailable.
2 minutes, right? Skype is loading.
Always smooth.
So I guess if you want to, we can put something else in this very awkward gap.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Because we've got, of course, we can talk about one of our finest hours from Page MMA, Tony Ferguson, commenting on one of our posts today.
It has to be the pinnacle of the page so far. That's
It
what
is the pinnacle of the page so far. And he was responding to news that Ali Abdelaziz says that Khabib will probably rather fight GSP than Tony Ferguson. And again, it comes back to this idea that when on earth is Tony Ferguson going to get a shot?
I don't think that GSP fight will happen
Well,
because Dana White
sorry
can't
to-
let him just keep jumping in and out of
I'm
divisions.
so sorry
taking
to
steps.
interrupt you both, gentlemen, but we are a go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, the moment you've all been waiting for.
I thought you were going for the buffer introduction then.
I was, but I thought, why not do it? Why, never mind Bruce, why not try and just sell myself? And, there's more than one.
It's time!
It's the Cauley buffer intro.
I'll tell you that now, though, Matt. I felt that. I felt the passion there, mate. I felt that.
Well, I felt a little bit stupid doing it, but there we go.
Hey, so are you calling him, Cauley?
I thought you've interrupted our...
Oh, hang on. Should be in now. If you look into our chat message. So if you give a ring now.
Right, he's joined.
Oh, there he is.
All right, lads.
All right, how you doing, Cal?
Oh, mate, you all right?
All right. Can you see us or not?
Yeah, we can see you, yeah.
I can see one person. My phone, for some reason, the memory's full. So every time I haven't been on an app for a couple of days, it ends up having to reinstall itself, kind of thing. So I have to accept the microphone and stuff like that again.
Well, you're probably best not seeing our mugs anyway, mate, to be fair. So
Especially mine, mate, bloody hell. Oh, not as sad. But no, thanks for coming on, mate. Thanks for coming on.
I know.
And yeah, we've got James.
You're the first guest that we've ever had on the podcast. So
nice.
You'll always have a special place in our hearts as we move on, I hope.
Hopefully I smash it and then get another one in after my fight then.
Yeah, definitely.
So how's training going for that then? Have you started in earnest or just?
Yeah, I've been training really hard. It started now properly. Realistically, I've been up and me running. I've been grappling non-stop. Sparring again. That's what the black eyes off. I don't know if you can see. It's finally going away a bit. It's having a bit of a wall last week. But yeah, training's going awesome. I'm putting loads of rounds in at Northeast Jiu-Jitsu as well. Ellis Younger, if you ever want to check him out on YouTube, he's a phenomenal grappler, and I get to train with him every day as well. So that's awesome. And this week I'm actually flying out to Dublin. I'm going to East Coast Jiu-Jitsu to get some rounds in out there as well. So that should be awesome as well.
That'd be great. So I guess if you don't mind, is it all right if we talk a little bit about your past, like the places that you fought before, and then we'll talk a bit about Dublin later on. Is that okay?
Yeah,
it's not going to be too long, obviously. But
I talk about whatever you want, mate. I'm easy.
Because obviously, a big part of your career so far is fighting in South Africa with the UFC, and you had that title fight against Biko.
Yeah.
What was it like fighting over there in AFC in South Africa?
Oh, amazing. Really, really special. The first time I went out there was just so new to us, I'd never been to South Africa before, and I didn't know what kind of. I'd heard from people who'd fought out there, and I'd kind of heard what it was like, but it was eye-opening when I went there myself and experienced that. The McDonald's had armed guards, electric fences. Taxis wouldn't. We had to get Ubers. We were warned not to get taxis because we'd get robbed. Basically, Ubers and taxis are having some gang war, so we were warned not to get in a taxi. Then the Ubers wouldn't stop at red lights or anything like that. And then I fought at this place called Carnival City, which is just like this mad fairground type place in the middle of the desert. That's just got a crazy casino inside, and everyone's walking around smoking, and it's just a wild place. And I remember walking out and just how hostile it was. People were booing, shouting stuff at us, just calling us and stuff like that. And somebody was telling us that somebody was like saying "fuck you" as I got in the cage and stuff like that, but the crowd was right on the cage. I was just like, what? It was just a crazy thing. But then obviously that first fight, the one of the 2 losses on my record, I smashed some guy. He's a really good, like a nice person, so I never like to slate him as a person. But if you watch the fight back, you can see I won the fight easily. I dropped him and everything, and I won that fight. But the decision went to him, and it caused an uproar. But that's kind of what made us get such a big following out there as it did. Like, as soon as the fight went to him, like the crowd was just completely changed, and everyone was kind of like supporting me and cheering me and wanting to come and see us after and get photos and stuff like that. So it worked the other way. So in a loss, I still ended up gaining loads, and I got sponsors out there, then made his custom kit and stuff like that. And I just made loads of really good like friends and connections out there. So that really like it holds a massive place in my heart, South Africa now, and it's somewhere that I'll always travel back to. You know, I'm gonna after this fight, I'm gonna go and train out there a little bit and actually go and train with Big O and because I'm friends with his coach. I was friends with his coach before the fight came around. He wants us to do a seminar out there as well. So I'm going to do that.
Awesome.
Just give a bit back, you know. But it's an awesome place. I went to Joburg. That was cool. One of my really close friends lives there. But Cape Town's where it's at. Like Cape Town, I really enjoyed Cape Town the most. Like fighting now was phenomenal. I fought Fies Jacobs there. It was like the AFC poster boy. You've probably seen the video of him or photo of him flying kicking some guy across the cage in the face. I fought that guy and choked him out there, and I'm all right with him now. He hated this for a long time, and he hated us leading up to that fight and stuff like that. But I'm cool with him now. Eventually, he finally came around, and but South Africa is it's an awesome place. Really, really cool.
How did the opportunity come about?
I don't know if you've heard of the show ACB. It's now called ACA. It's where Zabit and people
I had
like
a bit
that.
of a question about that one later on as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I fought on there. I was fighting at featherweight at the time, and I got offered that it was coming to the UK. It was coming to England, and they said, "Would you like to fight a guy, much more experienced guy? I think I'd had three fights at the time." And they said, "Oh, we've got a guy who's had 20 pro fights. He's won a lot of fights by knockout. He's also lost a few, you know. Yeah, I think he was like 11-9 at the time I fought him, but he's fought a lot of really good guys as well. He's a bit of a gatekeeper. A tough fight. Would you fight him at bantamweight?" And I kind of always wanted to go to bantamweight, but I'd never made the plunge and actually tried it, you know. And my frame, I'm tall for a featherweight, but I can trim right down. I can shrink my body right down. So I thought, I'd love to give it a go. And I thought, well, I've never done it, so I'd like to try and maybe do a catch weight first. So they said, well, look, this guy's keen to fight you. He'll take it at a catch weight in between feather and bantam. So I did it. Fought that fight and won. And then the matchmaker who matched the fight for ACB contacted me coach not long after and said, look, I've got an opportunity for Cal. AFC in South Africa is looking for a bantamweight to fight a really well-known local South African guy. Good guy. He's won a lot of fights by knockout. He's done all this. And would Cal be interested in fighting him on short notice? And then again, it was the same thing again. It was at bantamweight, and I thought, oh well, it's a bit too soon to make bantamweight. And I says, well, look, if they'll take it at a catchweight again, I should be able to do that weight again. So they said, yeah, and they did it. And then in taking that fight at that, they signed us, and then that was the fight that obviously I got bumped, and then they robbed us there, and then they give us another fight. And I think they signed us on like 5 fights or something like that. And obviously, the Big Go fight came around, and then they were told like on the way out of there, it was like, oh, by the way, you're coming to this fight now, but you have to come out on weight. And I was like, what? They were like, yeah, you have to be 61 kilos when you get out here. And I was like, well, why is that? Like, no, not like I reckon probably more than 90% of MMA athletes do a weight cut. I was like, it's impossible for me. I'm 6 foot. I could not physically get to bantamweight without some kind of method of like bathing or sauna or whatever. And they said, well, look, you'll have to work off as much as you can because there's a water shortage in South Africa at the minute in Cape Town. There's no baths, and you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to bath basically, or there's no
Bloody hell.
saunas. So I was like, oh well, there's my weight gone. So we got out there. I retained a bit of water off the flight. I flew out there by myself. My coach came out like the day before the weigh-in or whatever. It was his son's birthday, so Fisher couldn't come. So I went out by myself. I was just mooching around with a few guys who I knew from Norway and stuff like that, and training at a couple of the local gyms where I've trained at before. So yeah, the night before the weigh-ins, I was killing myself in the hotel. I had a sweatsuit on. I did like an hour on the bike. I did however much on the treadmill. I did pads. I shadowboxed. I skipped. I did everything. Exhausted myself. Got up in the morning. Did more. Then we went. I had to get an Uber like miles and miles away to some guy who'd actually sponsored us. Says, "Oh, you can come to my house and use my bath." So we got to this house after being lost for like an hour or 2 hours, whatever, how long it took. It felt like an eternity for me because I hadn't had water for 24 hours and I was already wrecked off the night before. So eventually we found this guy's house and we got in there and it was like, Tyrone, he's a really nice guy, so I really thank him for letting us use his bath. But his bath, we couldn't get it hot enough for what I needed to cut weight. So I was like in there and we were boiling this kettle. And the kettle was taking so long to boil that by the time I'd done it, I'd already done half my bath. So the kettle was in. But as soon as the kettle was in, it was hot for like a minute. But then it was just adapting to the same temperature the rest of the water. So like I ended up having to do like so much more that morning of the weigh-in than I normally would have. So did that, got out there the first however many baths I did and lost nothing. So I was like heartbroken, absolutely exhausted. So I kept going. And eventually I got out and I'd done that much and I just said, look, if I'm not on weight this time, I'm just not going back in. That's it. I'm done. I can't do any more. And I'm not a quitter by any means, but it was just not coming off. And I was just, the way I felt, knowing I had to then fight 5.5s as well, I was just like, look. So I got out and I had to be 61.2 and I was 61.3. And I thought, look, I'll wrap up warm. We'll go to the venue and I'll have lost that by the time I get there. I wrapped up warm. We mooched there. I had a massive argument with the Uber driver because he wouldn't go into the grounds of the arena because he had to pay like 10 pence or whatever it was, and we didn't have any change. So because we paid on the app, so like I was like screaming at this man. I had some car beeping next to it. I was just screaming at him, and the whole thing was just a nightmare. I rehydrated, went and like pretty much shot myself like straight away. Lost all the rehydration stuff that I'd just done. And then everything was just warming up before the fight. Fisher was concussed. Like he was meant to fight Luis Palomino's fought Justin Gaethje twice. If you look him up, Fisher was meant to fight him in Australia. Took a bad concussion, so Fisher couldn't do the warm up we normally do there. He couldn't pad us because his vision was really bad. So it was just the whole thing was just off. And then went out to the fight and had like the most grindy fight ever for. Normally, it would have been a grindy fight anyway. We knew that was going to be that I was going to come out and take him down. And when I got in there, it was like I was in a world of my own, just a daydream, just like walking out in like a complete daze, just like as if it wasn't even real. Just I was that tired and that drained. I was just like, I wasn't even fighting. And I got in there and I just remember my eyes feeling like so like tired. It was just weird. And then just had like the most wrestly, grindy fight ever for like 25 minutes as well. So I was just like, I pretty much did nothing. I just stood there and, well, against the fence. I was just elbowing him the whole time against the fence, and he was taking us down. I was getting up and just elbowing him. And that was pretty much the fight. It was a no disrespect to Big O. He's a great athlete. He's won. I think he medalled in the Commonwealth Games. He's done everything and stuff like that. But it was a winnable fight for me, and I lost that. So it's a learning curve because then after that fight, I knew I had rehydration issues. Like I knew that everything I was doing myself was wrong. Like every time I fought in England before and weighed in and then like shot myself. Just like having too much salt and stuff like that. Like I came home and just ruined myself basically. So everything I was putting in was just wrong. But I didn't have anyone on board kind of telling us how to do. So it was just kind of just in the dark and just trying to make it along. You know what I mean? Just some bobs what I'd heard, kind of finding what I'd seen other fighters doing and stuff like that. And then when I lost that fight to Big O, I knew I was just like, look, I cannot be fighting at this weight where I know realistically that these are fights that I should be, in my opinion, should be winning and feeling the way I felt. So I got Dean Kirk. He's a nutritionist from the UK. I got him on board, and that was it. Like I like my last fight showed it. You know, like I took 1,000,001 punches, 20% of them were in the back of the head or whatever, and I just felt fine. And the way I felt in there, I felt so strong. Like literally, I was seeing. I can't remember who I was seeing this to, but after I weighed in, like it was like maybe an hour. No, normally after a normal weigh in, even the next morning, I'm still like dead tight and sore, this, that, and the other. After that weigh in, and I cut ridiculous amount of weight when I fought Nathan Grace, and I did more on the stone the night before. I did. I think I did 7.5 kilos in the bath the night before. I did. However, I did 8 baths and 8 towels. I did I think it was 6 kilos the night before, and then on the morning of the weigh-in, I did 1.5 kilos. And literally an hour or two after the weigh-in, I felt like if I needed to fight there and then, I could have probably did it. And that was just Dane Kirk's rehydration, just on point. I was just ready to go. So by the time of the fight, I felt like I was on fire.
So it's so important to this to have the right people, isn't it?
100%, mate. That's it. I feel like finally now everything's coming together at the right time. Like I've got a great team around us. I've got Fuel Prep who does me meals, Dane Kirk who works coincide with them and kind of tells them how on a busy day how much I should be allowed, and on a quieter day when I'm more relaxed and just easier training. I have less stuff, and it's just my team around us now. I just think everything's come together at the right time.
Awesome.
It's a horrible process of weight cutting, isn't it? It just goes to show, doesn't it, like the actual reality of it, doesn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. It's how much of a big part of it is. It's mental. Last time, so I don't know if you know Jimmy Wallhead.
Oh yeah.
Well, he fights at welterweight. Last time when I was fighting, the Bellator do a mock kind of hydration test where they before the fight they come out and see how much water you've kind of taken back on and monitor it. You know what I mean? And they came up to me and before the fight and he says, "Oh, blah blah blah." It says, well, jump on the scales. You're the only person, one of the only people who haven't jumped on the scales yet. We need to do a rehydration clause. And I was like, oh, well, I'm fighting in half an hour. So I'm obviously I'm full of water. I've been drinking water all day. That's going to give you a really bad, rate of reading. And they were like, no, it's fine. This is just just to kind of monitor a bit. And I got on and I went, oh, well, I've got stuff in my pockets. He went, oh, just empty your pockets, jump in with your trousers on. Doesn't matter. You don't have to get all your kit off and that. You just knock your shoes off. So I jumped on with my joggers on. I had a t-shirt on. Jumped on and he come up with me, right, 163, right, Jimmy Wallhead. And I went, no, I'm Cal Ellenor. And he was like, what? You fight that bantamweight? I was like, you can't be this heavy. How are you this heavy? And I was like, mate, I told you. And he was like, no. He was like, that's too heavy. You can't be rehydrating like this. We're gonna have to keep a check on this and stuff like that. It was a nightmare.
Absolutely massive.
I thought I was going to get him bothered, but I was just like, well, what else? You know what I mean? I've been drinking water all day. I could have, if I knew, I could have just said, oh, well, I'll jump on whenever. And I was just chugging water the whole time. So I got a slap on the wrist for that.
It's good, this kind of thing. You don't normally get to see kind of the ins and outs of a weight cut. So it's really awesome to hear all this stuff. I guess, obviously, you're terrible time cutting weight in South Africa.
Oh, brutal.
I mean,
horrible.
So obviously they've been in the news a little bit recently with Aspen Ladd. I don't know if you saw her, but she was shaking on the weights before her fight against GDR. What about, I don't know if you hear about One Championship doing hydration tests and all this kind of stuff, but it's really shady and behind closed doors, and you can't, there's no sort of public weight scales like there is with all the other promotions and that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about weight cuts in general? Do you think they're necessary, or is there another way to do it?
Personally, I think, that's the problem. If they get rid of weight cuts, right, then everyone's saying, oh, it's a safer way, you're going to get better fights because people are not going to be dehydrated, they're going to be able to fight more to their potential and whatever. And I think, in a sense, that seems like the safer option. But what you've got to think is, if they take away the 24-hour weigh-in and you do a same day weigh-in, you'll still get guys thinking, oh, well, I want to be that little bit bigger than my opponent. I want to have that edge, and they'll still cut weight, and they'll end up not being able to have that time to actually rehydrate. So what they'll be doing is they'll be cheating it still cutting weight and going in fights, and you'll see loads more deaths. In my opinion, I feel like you'll see people going in with less like water from the brain and just like dehydrated, going in fights dehydrated and getting knocked out, but getting knocked out bad. You know what I mean? That's what I think. I think like having the 24-hour weigh-ins, like the lesser of the two evils, but maybe monitoring it better would be a better key. Like as you say, like the ONE FC, I think that obviously I don't know what the skills behind closed doors and stuff, but I feel like that's a better option. Like only being allowed to rehydrate a certain amount, and you'll get people fighting at their truer weights. Like I'd be cool with that. You know what I mean? Then you'd not be the only reason I don't fight at featherweights because my frame, I get these little hip huggers and they're so small and compact that if they're on your hips, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like I'd rather have a better chance fighting someone who is more my kind of weight as such, you know, like the featherweights, the same, all the ones I train with are all jacked, you know what I mean? Whereas I'm not, I'm a big skinny weed, you know what I mean? I'm a big nerdy, weedy guy, and I'm fighting these monsters, you know, so at bantamweight's like where I feel like I'm optimal. But I'd be definitely up for that if people were fighting at what they walked around at a lot more, you know what I mean? I'd just have to be a lot more careful outside of camp and not going up to middleweight and stuff like that. Like I say, I've got a bad problem with cheesecake. Like,
so the last thing I guess before the last thing before Bellator, I suppose, is the ACB thing. I just wanted to, or ACA now. So you absolutely smashed the guy within a minute. You subbed him within a minute, I think it was, and then why was your only one fight with them if it with such a dominant performance?
Yeah, well, I was actually surprised at that because that was my thinking when I was going into that fight was like at the time they were the guys who were kind of paying people more like better wage, more what they deserved. They were doing like stoppage bonuses, all this kind of stuff was coming out, and I was like, oh, this my coach had just signed there and stuff, and it was like that's kind of what I was hoping. I thought, oh well, if I go here, I might beat this guy convincingly and get a contract, but I beat him. The contract never came around, but then they offered us another fight, funnily enough, with an Australian guy called Michael Tobin. I was I think it was 4-0 or 5-0 at the time, and he was 12-1. I think he was a black belt as well in BJJ. I think he was black belt BJJ, and I think he was 12-1. So I was buzzing. I was like straight away. I was like, yeah, just send the contract. I'll fight him 100%. That's the fights I want. Send it. And then we never heard anything back for ages. So I messaged that guy on Facebook. And then his dad messages us back saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. We're happy to do that fight, blah, blah, blah. But we're not coming over from Australia again. The one fight he ever lost was when we came in the jet lag. So I went, oh, well, there's a show coming up in Australia on ACB. I'll come to Australia and fight him, no problem. And then we got matched on a show in Gdansk in Poland for ACB. And then the whole thing happened with the Manchester bombings, I think it was, and that was when that happened. All the arenas, I think that's what it was, because that was we were meant to fight in Newcastle, and the Manchester bombings happened, and then that's when it moved to Gdansk, and then when it moved to Gdansk, they basically took all the internationals off the card, and the only one English guy who ended up fighting on that card was Luke Barnett. So they basically cancelled my fight, so it never came about, and then they never offered us a contract. But I'm kind of glad I never, because a lot of, as it worked out, a lot of people ended up being like kind of like contractually like obligated and being stuck there. And I know it's really ruined a lot of people's like chances and stuff, you know. So everything just worked out for the best. Like everything's happened at the right time. Losing that fight to Beagle, I was supposed to fight in Rising. If I won that fight with Beagle, I was meant to fight on Rising on New Year's Eve. Basically, they wanted to do a champion versus champion thing, and they wanted the ACB champion, but ACB wouldn't release him. So Carl Prince put my name forward, and apparently they were going to let us fight Kyoji Horiguchi in Japan on New Year's Eve, and then I lost that fight and never materialized, and then Darian Caldwell ended up going out and fighting him. So
well, now you're going to be in the same.
It's crazy.
You're in his division again now, aren't you? With Horiguchi as champion now.
It just shows you that the opportunities to fight these top like echelon guys are there. You know what I mean? So
amazing.
That just filled me with confidence. I just thought, oh well, if it's that close to it's within touching distance, then there's no reason why I can't really put the work in and get these fights anyway. Because that's where I believe I should be anyway, and I've always believed it. And I just feel like it's always when you're on the way up, it's really hard to kind of get them better guys. You know, fight these top guys. But because no one wants to fight a kind of unknown guy. But then obviously if I beat James, that's a kind of entry up to the top kind of level, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm buzzing for this fight.
Just it's a good draw with James Gallagher in it, really, because everyone knows he's a good shit talker and he likes to throw himself about there, doesn't he? And obviously, if you get the win there, he's going to shut people. It's like Ricky Bandejas, when he put him out, he got a big step up, didn't he, in the next two fights, and a big promotional push. So he beat the Golden Boy.
That's it, definitely. It's like I've seen loads of people calling us a bum and stuff like that, and the people who's calling us a bum, you know what I mean? Good on them. Like I don't really care what they say at all, because it just makes my job easy. If they underestimate me and thinking I'm some bus driver or whatever they think I am, you know what I mean? Then let them think it, and then when I come in there and starch them, it's going to make me look 10 times better. Like if they underestimate me, then they obviously haven't took attention and watched any of me fights, because I'll be 100% bringing the fight to James. And if anyone, a lot of the people in the UK or people who watch me, so like pro guys or like amateur guys or MMA coaches, people who watch my fights know that I'm going to be a hard test for James. Whereas I think a lot of people in kind of like who watch Bellator have never heard of me, so they just think automatically I'm a bum. But this is me all around in boxing and MMA. This is me 42nd fight, so I've been around. You know what I mean? I've been in some wars as well, so I'm not scared to bang it out either if I need to. And I feel like this is a fight where I'm going to show me level, definitely.
Well, in terms of people calling you a bum, that's something I was going to ask about. Whereas when you made your debut against Nathan Grayson, that was quite close to home. But obviously you've experienced it before in South Africa. But what difference does it make when you're going into a fight knowing that the whole crowd's going to be against you?
I love it. That's what I want. I've been asking for this fight in Dublin since the day I beat Nathan Grayson. Like that was what I said straight away. I messaged him matchmaker. I said, look, they wanted us to fight in Birmingham. I still had stitches in my eye off when I fought Grayson. I got a big cut above my eye off him. And they wanted us to fight there. And I just said, look, it's you're giving us a fight. I've already told you I want to get my injuries healed. I'd been trained for a 5-5 rounder, and then obviously I trained straight away for Nathan Grayson. And I was like, look, it's the same date my son's due to be born. So, like, all due respect, I appreciate you offering us my next fight, my contract, but I kind of want to hold off a bit. So I did. I said, look, let us fight James Gallagher. I says, I'll fight James Gallagher anywhere. I says, I'll fight him in Dublin. And every time I got the chance, anytime I seen any kind of social media thing mention him or whatever, I would always comment on it and say, let me fight him in Dublin. I'm the person to go there and beat him in his hometown, you know, like that's the kind of stuff I want for my legacy. I want to be that person who goes into all these hostile environments and does the job, you know, like fighting away from home. I love it. Like I love fighting at home. It was amazing. It was fun, especially like some like formidable person like like Nathan Grayson had getting off that adversity. You're getting like just an onslaught straight away, a million mile an hour. Getting through that at home, like that was one of the best nights of my life. Like every minute of that fight, I was just, although it might not look it, I was just loving being in there. Like I really did. Like those things I feel like I perform better in them kind of dog fights. You know what I mean? But I just think like the pressure's just not on me at all for this fight. Like half the people there think I'm a nobody. Everybody's going to be wanting James to win. I'm taking a tribe over anyway. You know what I mean? I'm taking the right squad, but I'd say 95% of the people there will be cheering for James to win, and that just makes my job so much easier to just slide in under the radar and just take everything from him. And that's what I want. I just feel like when it's all said and done, when I'm retired, I want to have these memories where I can look back and just say, look, like I actually went there and did these things. You know what I mean? It's a lot to put on myself, and that's what I want. I just want to be in these big fights all the time. Like I feel like finally now people are starting to find out who I am, and that's all I've ever wanted since I ever fought, since my first fight. You know, like that's all I've ever wanted, to just be a name in fighting, and I feel like this is a massive step in the right direction for it.
Awesome.
Definitely.
So
it's a card to headline. It's definitely a big card to be on. I was just going to say then, sorry about Gallagher, but my head's just gone completely blank.
if you beat Gallagher, how, you know, obviously you're a confident guy, you're a very skillful guy, people who've watched you fight know that. How do you if you beat him, how close do you think you'll be to meeting Horiguchi for that belt?
To be honest, like I don't even know, and to be honest, as daft as it sounds, like a lot of people always say, like, "Oh, I want to be this and that." I literally, I couldn't give a rat's ass. I just want to beat James and fight whoever's next, and just keep fighting the best people. I just want to keep testing myself and just keep being in these like really like big fights. I want to fight in what one of my real aspirations is if I beat James. I want to fight in Madison Square Gardens next year. It's been a dream of mine pretty much forever. There's one other person who's done it from Sunderland, and he's a pro boxer, Josh Kelly, and he drew when he went there. And he's a friend of mine. I've known him my whole life. Well, boxed for years, for when we were kids. You know, I've known him for a lot of years anyway. And he did it, and I since I was 12-year-old or something, watching boxing fights. Madison Square Gardens was always somewhere I wanted to fight, and then when I seen Bellator putting shows on there, it was just like just a dream, really. And then obviously this fight came about, and I thought, you know what, like if I beat James, like it's not within the like realm of possibility that I could fight there. And if I ask for it after the fight as well, I think they'll probably give us it, you know. Just so that's what I'm hoping for. I'm not really bothered about chasing belts or what. Like being Bellator champion will be amazing, or even fighting for the belt will be amazing, but I just want to fight the best people. I don't really care. Like I just want to keep putting my name on the top fights. You know what I mean? Keep getting there. Like
Yeah. Obviously, with the rising opportunity you might have had in the past, the obviously got a deal with Bellator as well, haven't they? So maybe that can still come true as well. Fighting in Tokyo against a Japanese fighter, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing. You know what? I'd be totally open for that as well against anyone. Like literally, like I'm not scared to fight anyone, whether it's whatever style, clash, whatever. I'm not bothered. I just want to test myself. So if they throw any name in the hat and say, look, there's your opportunity, I'll just grab it with both hands and go and do it. 100%.
So to do with James Gallagher, Cauley kind of touched on it earlier on, how he likes to talk plenty of trash for his fights to build up a bit of a storyline. Does it make any difference to you when you're going to fight someone like that who you know is going to come at you with loads of insults and personal stuff?
No, I want that. I want this fight to get as much traction as it's going to get. I'm gutted that they didn't have me out there yesterday. I basically begged them. I was commenting on every single Instagram post saying like, let me come to the press conference. Why am I not there? Like, look,
I was
if worst
surprised at it.
scenario, I even said I would pay if it's a money thing, I'll pay for my own flights, whatever. You know what I mean? I haven't got a penny in my name, but I would have definitely got the money to go there. You know what I mean? I want to be there. I want to be promoting. You're doing a press conference and you haven't even got the main event there. You know what I mean? Like why? Oh, because James is away. Well, why should that stop me being there? You know what I mean? Like that's not my problem that he's not there. Like why shouldn't I get there? You know what I mean? But it's one of them things. It is what it is. Hopefully they do more press conferences when people go back and forth. It really will boost the kind of tension on this fight because both of us kind of like the same kind of crack, you know what I mean? And he's going to come at me and he's going to see that I'm not like the other people he's fought, you know what I mean? I'm not just going to sit there and just be whatever, you know what I mean? I'm a respectful guy, but if people's not respecting me, then I'm a completely different person, you know? And if he's going to come at me with stuff, I'll go back at him with stuff, and I don't really care. I'm not intimidated by him at all in the slightest. I feel like my skill set's better than his everywhere. I really do believe that, and whatever he says is just words at the end of the day, and I'm happy to just stare him in the eyes and just say everything I want to say to him. So I'm gutted they didn't put us together yesterday because I feel like it would have been fireworks. You know what I mean? Hopefully they do. Hopefully they do another one soon. You know.
We want to tune in for the press conference with you two guys going at each other.
100%, definitely. It's gonna. It will be awesome. So hopefully they get some sorted. You know what I mean? He's out there smoking cigars and doing whatever he's doing. You know what I mean? He's gonna be. If he thinks he's winning this fight, he's smoking more than cigars, though. That's for sure. So that's the way it is. I can't wait to get my hands on him. So
I was going to ask for how you think the fight's going to go, because obviously both of you like to have. You've got plenty of submission finishes in your record. All his wins have been finished by submission, apart from maybe one. But how do you think the fight's going to go then?
I think I'm going to submit him. I do. I think he's going to realise that he's in a dogfight straight away, and he'll make mistakes when he realises I'm not going to go away. You know what I mean? I think he beats a lot of people before they get in there, or the pressure gets them, or whatever. Whereas I've lost before. I couldn't. Obviously, winning's always nice, but I couldn't really give a shit. Like I'm not scared to take chances. A lot of people go into these big fights and they don't want to do certain things in case they make mistakes or whatever. Whereas I'm not like that. I'm going to go in and he's going to realise he's in a proper fight straight away. And when I don't go away, when he realises how like durable I am and how resilient I am, I feel like that's when he make mistakes. And I feel like if the submission comes, I'll rip his neck off, and if not, I'll just punch him till he quits. That's my plan, and I really truly do think I'm going to break him. I just think he's good. I feel like he is good. He's a good fighter. A lot of people put him down and because they're jealous or envious of wherever he is and how much promotion he's getting. But I just think like anywhere it goes, I'm better than him. I really do believe that, and I'm just buzzing to have this opportunity to go and show it, especially with it being in Dublin as well. And how amazing would that be to go there and put him away and just silence that whole crowd? Like, I've got nothing against Ireland. I've been there before. I was actually, funnily enough, I was meant to fight on the same card when McGregor fought in Crumlin years and years and years ago. I was boxing out there. My boxing team went out and we used to do a annual trip out there to Crumlin. It was a little, I think it was called Black Rock Rugby Club or something. And McGregor fought on one of the cards one time. I was supposed to box there, and I ended up boxing when Ireland came back over, and I boxed a guy from Belfast. So I love Ireland. I've been there. I went to Dublin before, and it was awesome. And I've got a lot of Irish friends actually. Miles Price is one. I like Miles Price. He's a good guy. I'm friends with him. So I've got a lot of respect for the Irish people as well. And I just say like, if I beat him there, then it's another kind of avenue where I can gain a lot of fans. You know what I mean? And that's what I want. I just want my name to kind of be getting out there, especially for being from where I'm from. You know, no one really does a great deal from here where I'm from. You know what I mean? It's like
it's you and like, Phil at the minute, isn't it? Basically,
it's like a little council place where all the houses are like shitty and basically like no one's got a penny, you know what I mean? And I just want to be one of them people who get out, you know what I mean? I want to be somebody, and this is what the only thing in my life that I've ever truly been good at, you know. And I feel like I'm finally getting the props for my hard work, and beating James will be another step on the ladder to getting us to that next stage.
It's going to be some night. I can't wait for that event, to be honest. It's going to be, you know, the Irish like him. They like their man. They back their man, but they appreciate a fighter, I think. So
that's
it.
Even
if you win, you'll get some respect from those boys over there.
That's it. And they'll see that I think I've got a good style that people can kind of get behind. You know, I feel like if they see like I'm not scared to stand and bang it out. I'm batting box tidy as well if I need to, or whatever. You know, like I can kickbox at range. Me wrestling. People haven't seen me wrestling. Like that's one side of me kind of attributes that I'd really like to show. That's another thing. But me groundwork as well. I feel like anywhere the fight goes, they're going to get an entertaining fight because I'm not scared to jump for something. Where most people will kind of think about staying safer or whatever, I'm not like that at all. I'm going to be hitting them from every angle I can, and I'm going to be throwing submissions up left, right, and centre, and I'm just game to have a scrap. So hopefully people can see that and enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So I think we're nearly at the end, so I'm going to just put you on the spot. What is your specific prediction for the fight? Round, method? Obviously, you'll pick yourself as the winner, but what's your round and method?
I want to say first round submission.
First round submission?
Can you call the submission? Do you reckon you can call the submission?
I'd say Reignator choke. I'm going to say Reignator choke.
Oh, fingers crossed then. Hope it comes true.
Cheers, lads.
Good to see you get there.
That's it. I'll take whatever's there, but I just feel like it will be the icing on the cake to basically take what he's good at and submit him with it, like kind of like kill him with his own kind of weapons. You know what I mean? That's what I'd like to do.
Like a proper beating in that case, isn't it? Like you've lost to your own strengths. Yeah,
that's exactly what I want. That will be the icing on the cake for me. Like.
And the headlines the next day. God, imagine the headline. Well, not even the next day. The headline shortly after me. Oh,
that's it. Like, definitely.
And hopefully, plenty of people tune in as well. It's on Channel 5 live, isn't it? So, you know, proper, just normal telly. So lots of availability for people to just go and give that a watch when it's on. I think it's 27th of September.
Yeah, it is the 27th. Sorry, lads, I've realised I've had the the light off the whole time. I'm sitting there like Razal Girl in the pitch black. You know what I mean? It's like League of Shadows. And aye, sorry lads.
What was that about? What was that about you being a nerd? You said before.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, it was a pleasure having you on. Hopefully, get you back on after you get the win. Anyway, send you off to
100%,
Madison Garden.
Definitely up for it, lads. So cheers for the time, and I appreciate you getting in touch. And I'll be open to do one whenever the chance comes up again.
Thanks for your stories. It's been great.
Cheers, man. Nice one. Have a good one, lads. I'll see you later on.
See you
later.
Thanks, Cal.
So there it is, first guest, Cal Ellenor, wrapped up.
That was awesome, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
I enjoyed that a big amount.
He's a really class guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that'll be fun getting one after.
Some interesting stories there as well, isn't there?
Interesting about this story before the Biko fight, where there's the weight cut he had to go through for that fight, and you don't think about this kind of stuff. Like there's a water shortage in South Africa, so he can't cut weight properly. It's nuts, isn't it? The things that you don't even think about when you're just a fan on this side of things, just waiting for them to step on the scales and then fight.
It makes you realise, doesn't it, when you see fighters and people saying like, about like fans' opinions, but you really, unless you've done it, you really don't know, do you? Because that was an eye opener for me. That was crazy.
The one thing I haven't thought about before is obviously a lot of people with the rise of African fighters are calling for like an event to be in Africa, but do you think maybe promotions are put off putting big events on there because, like he mentioned, the risk of like Ubers and taxis getting hijacked and things, because a lot of crazy stuff happens over there. And I know some places are obviously worse than others, but that could cause people like Dana White to hesitate before taking the UFC to somewhere like Africa. Do you think that'd be a factor?
It's true. I agree to some points. You've got to obviously factor in fighter safety, haven't you? But you could argue there was an incident in Brazil, wasn't there, where the fighter hotel got held up at gunpoint or something. I'm sure.
There was also an incident in New York City where some idiot was throwing stuff at a bus with fighters on. So, there's not. They've had, the World Cup was in Africa not that long ago. There's no. Although I know what you're saying, and to an extent I agree, and security would have to probably be ramped up a bit. There's, I think there's, if you come to a point and there's a water shortage, then that's really going to stuff a lot of stuff up. I guess that kind of thing would be more of an issue than any of the other stuff that we mentioned there. But
I suppose
I see what you mean.
The commissions as well and the regulations and that as well are probably different. Or do you know what I mean?
But they do it in Asia, and there's no sort of athletic commissions to be spoken of when we're talking about MMA, especially in Asia in general. So. No, it's I don't know. I don't think we're that far away from it, but I also don't see the UFC like going out of their way to do it necessarily either.
Yeah, me either. Because
I just don't know if it'll be enough of a to put it in a business point of view. I don't think it'll be enough of a thing to be worth the money of putting it on. If you know what I mean.
They kind of needed to, didn't they? With like in America, obviously some states it was banned, wasn't it, for ages in some states? And it was a right. I think it was it UFC 12, was it, where it was meant to be in New York, and then like it was banned like 24 hours before, so then they had to move it all to somewhere like last minute.
They don't mind moving things at the last minute if one of your fighters comes up with a bit of a picogram on. Do they? But I don't know. I think it was banned until like 2014, 2015 in New York, wasn't it?
UFC 205 was the first event in New York. Conor and Eddie.
I mean, and then they've bought well into it now, haven't they, with their Madison Square Garden card every year and everything. That's it's already going to be a tradition.
You need to look forward to those cards every single year because they always just stack them as far as they can, and it's incredible.
It's the combat mecca, though, isn't it? It's combat sports mecca, isn't it? It's like they have to stack it. You can't go to Madison Square Garden and not stack your cards to absolute death.
Yeah, well, if you even Bellator, I mean, they've obviously not got the depth that someone like a promotion like the UFC have got, but they had Caldwell against Horiguchi like first on the main card, but it was in MSG, so it was, it was a deep card.
I suppose from a viewer's perspective, like on the telly, it's a bit weird, like a title fight first, and I still think it's backwards. But I suppose as a spectator, it's good to probably see the prelims and then get straight into a title fight to like get you going for the main card. I suppose it's a good crowd, like hype for the crowd, isn't it?
I mean, and Son and Machida are massive names anyway. They might be at the wrong end of their careers, and obviously Son retired afterwards, but they were huge names. As long as they had McDonald and Gracie headlining that in the end anyway. So because there was a bit of a worry, wasn't there, that they were going to be like the co-main event to Machida and Son.
Yeah.
But, it was a great card, and it was a really deep card, and maybe Caldwell and Horiguchi, they're not massive names in the US, really, are they? As good as they are.
Yeah.
Shame, really.
Yeah, but now Horiguchi's got the belt, 2 organizations. He's my personal favorite, so hopefully he'll keep all of that for as long as maybe until Cal comes, and then I won't know. Then I won't know who to back, since he's been our first guest.
Yeah, he's earned some loyal supporters now.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we wrap up, anyway, a couple more things I want to touch on was kind of looking back on San Antonio at the weekend.
Yeah.
A couple of the main kind of results and talking points from that.
I'm still mentally scarred from the fact I said Vic would win.
Yeah, that was a disgusting choice. So can we, if you don't mind, just to put a bit of structure on it, if we talk about a couple of things from the prelims, and then maybe go over the 6 main card fights very, very briefly, and sort of say what we thought was going to happen, and see how wrong we actually all were when we for our picks.
Yeah.
One of the things the first thing, just a big shout out, and I'm sure you two will join in that Ray Borg picked up a win. Everyone loves Ray Borg. And his son was there to watch it happen, and we're really glad that he seems to be getting better, and obviously his dad is winning fights in the octagon with him there to watch.
You see, after how much that meant to him, kind of the emotion showed through, as it would obviously. So
yeah, and the photos afterwards, the official photos they do afterwards with Borg holding his son, was really nice to see.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, throughout the card, not to move on so swiftly, but throughout the whole card, everything went to decision until Hooker knocked out Vic. It was quite a slow, dragged out card.
Yeah.
I thought we weren't talking about Hooker and Vic. I thought we were.
We're not. Ross has just absolutely thrown our agreement in.
It was a problem that I had. It was an issue that I had.
We're not talking about it.
My main issue with the card, and it's not really the card itself. I was very sad, first of all, that Roxanne Modafferi lost, because everyone loves her as well. She's a great character and everything, but it wasn't the fight. During the fight, Jennifer Meyer's corner was shouting "Iso" the whole time. Every time she landed something, they'd shout "Iso," and it really, really did my head in.
That was your talking point, just to get that off your chest.
That's what I needed to get that off my chest, yeah. And if they were shouting something, it just sounded like "Iso."
Say that again.
It's like "Iso."
Iso.
Now I'm not going to listen to the podcast because I've been shouting "Iso," and I'm going to annoy myself so much.
He also shouted at his time. Let's remember that one as well.
Sorry?
He also shouted at his time, so let's remember that as well.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, so, and the other thing was, I would like to give, from my point of view, Dominic Cruz is one of the best commentators for me on the UFC, and everybody always bashes him every single time he's on, and I just think he's great. I know he's not very exciting and all this kind of stuff, but he's so knowledgeable in the grappling exchanges and on the ground, and what the fight is going to do next and what they'll be looking to do. I just love to listen to him talk about that kind of stuff. And I put a tweet out at the time to say that I loved him, and they've got a few people agreeing with me, but a lot of people on Twitter really, really don't like listening to Dominic Cruz, and it made me quite sad. So I thought I'd put that on record.
To play kind of devil's advocate, I think, yes, when it comes to the ground exchanges, he has incredible insight and he can predict what's going to happen like 2 or 3 moves in advance. But it does sometimes, when in general, just as the fight's going on, come away with some kind of silly, like, off the cuff remarks. But he is still a good analyst. He deserves his place on the commentary team. But I think that's
I can see what you mean.
Yeah, that's the main problem with him. Just the kind of off the cuff remarks he makes that sometimes seem a bit strange or unusual.
But there was someone who replied to me, actually. I can't remember who it was, and I'm really sorry. And if I could remember, I'd shout you out. I think who said that from a person who trains point of view, Dominic Cruz is great because you he almost giving you advice on what to do in those situations but maybe for someone who doesn't train and just likes to watch the fights and really enjoys it from that point of view, it's not quite so exciting because they're not so bothered that they're going to be looking to try and shrimp their hips out and get out of half guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe that kind of.
What I like about the commentary though, like especially when it's like Dominic Cruz or Paul Felder or even like Dan Hardy's doing it, it's like when they're in like the grappling exchanges for people that are just coming into the sport, especially, it's like it's terms and moves you need to know. You can't. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't just watch the sport and not have an absolute clue in hell what like a clinch is, for example, or when you're in like top mount or any. Do you know what I mean? Anything, even full guard. You need
That's
to
one of
know.
one of my big bugbears is the people who say wrestling, like if there's a wrestling match in a MMA fight, that it's boring. It's like, well, why don't you watch Glory kickboxing or
exactly.
But
I don't mean to call people out on it. I'm not, obviously there's no names, but if you think it's boring, I either think you haven't got a clue, like you're new to the sport and you haven't got a clue and you're learning. So fair enough. I think if you're coming into the sport and you're just watching it, then yeah, fair enough. Wrestling might not be the first thing of excitement you want to watch, which is fair enough. Or B, you're just a twat. What I don't get, like you're saying, there's boxing, there's kickboxing, there's Muay Thai. Don't watch MMA and say, oh, the worst thing I hate to hear is wrestling is gay.
As a trigger point.
I suppose, to be fair, most viewers, I would hope, of UFC and MMA generally won't say that. And there's always get a few immature idiots who will go that line, I suppose. But
it's an argument with no substance. And to be fair, to be very honest, since being on like MMA Twitter and that, I don't see it hardly. But the amount of people that I just speak of it in general, like out and about, I just think
it's definitely. I kind of think that's more of a British thing, because in American high schools they do wrestling. Loads of the schools do wrestling. It's a normal thing for them. I don't know if they'd see it maybe in the same way as some British people might do.
I wish that was the case over here in high schools. It'd do so good. It would do.
It would. Even if it was just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it'd be good. Do you know what I mean? Just grappling comps all the time. I think that'd be mega.
Yeah, amazing.
Mega.
Take a class in like higher jiu-jitsu in school. Well, sorry, I don't know what it is in English schools.
Just think that discipline though you learn from school. Say if it was drilled in at high school, that discipline you learn, I guarantee you would go on afterwards, and I guarantee you'd see like drops in like statistics and stuff. I guarantee healthy eating a better go up. All childhood obesity would go down, not up, down.
It would be good. So on to the main card while we're talking about it. We had Rothwell Arlovski, and I believe you two both picked Arlovski to win that fight. Am I correct?
I think I took decision. I think so. I'm not sure. I think I picked Arlovski decision.
Yeah, I picked Rothwell decision, which didn't go very well for me. But I knew they wouldn't knock each other out. They were in that third round. They looked like they were fighting underwater. Everything was so slow. The punches were so slow. I knew nothing was going to happen, and I knew that Arlovski had already won the fight by then. So unfortunately for me, that was a 0 for my pick.
Yeah, so I'm on 1.
And you two were spot on with your Arlovski decisions. So the Hernandez Trinaldo was an interesting one because basically nobody deserved to win the fight. It was absolutely rubbish. There were about 30 strikes or so between them landed in the whole thing. Something ridiculous like that.
I'll tell you right now, Hernandez landed 26 out of 92, and Trinaldo landed 28 out of 55.
Yeah. So about 50 strikes in the entire fight. That's just not good enough at this level, really. No. And, Hernandez was right. He was a bit apologetic afterwards in the interview, saying, I can understand people being annoyed at the decision, but he thinks it could go either way because nothing much happened. And I agree, could have gone either way. And I was also happy because I said Hernandez would win by decision. So that came out for me. I can't remember what you two guys said. I think we were all pretty much the same.
I predicted the first round Hernandez starching, so I mean, I was quite wrong.
Yeah. I predicted the starching, but I still said Hernandez, so...
Yeah. So we all thought he'd win, and he just about skin of his teeth won in the end.
Yeah.
So James Vick, Cauley.
He didn't
Tell
have
us about James Vick.
Oh, that's a fight. No. I've got nothing to say. He got
Yeah,
starched.
you can sit out of this one, Colin.
Don't know what to say.
Yeah.
He got beat. I'm sorry, James Vick. I'm trying to back you up, and I can't. I feel like Paulie Malignaggi when Fury drew with Wilder. Like I just have nothing to say.
In case you're listening, James Vick, I'm sorry. Colin tried to back you, but he can't anymore. So
I do. No, I'll still back you, James. I'll still back you, James. Depending who you fight next.
No,
Depending.
big, he got in the octagon at the end of the day, so big. We're not going to bash anyone on this show who fights for a living. So Hooker, I think me and you, Ross, both said second round KO for Hooker, and we were both wrong because it was in the first.
I mean, nearly there, though. Almost there.
Yeah, nearly there. But yeah, it was a hell of a punch as well that left that sent Vic down. It was nice work from Hooker.
Well, I don't know if we're ready to move on yet, but after this, even despite all the decisions on the card, I'd say the most disappointing contest of the night: Greg Hardy, Juan Adams.
Yeah, I mean, I've just said we're not going to bash fighters, but I've always got room for bashing Greg Hardy.
Yeah, of course.
But at this time, I think we have to focus on the fact that Juan Adams he didn't turn up.
I don't know what he was doing though, 'cause he just sat still and then protested afterwards that the fight shouldn't have been stopped, and then you saw how he acted after he left the cage as well. So
it's a hard one. It's because he did do nothing. He did do nothing, but he was taking too many shots. To be fair, I watching it back now, you think how he reacted again. It's like, oh, I just don't want to admit Greg Hardy won. If I'm honest, I'm just trying to make some sort of excuse, and I just can't accept that he won.
We also might have to accept a little bit that he might have some ability as well, which is.
I mean, I just that fight didn't quite show much though.
He might have some ability, and I accept that. I will accept that wholeheartedly, but I will not accept an argument of he has power when he didn't knock Alan Crowder out. I'm sorry, I do not accept the argument.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I mean, Adams was nowhere near getting put out by all those shots that were landed on his head.
No,
it wasn't.
It was 31 shots. I think it was the official number of shots in that little kind of sequence. I think 31 punches landed.
Yeah, he wasn't close to going.
No, I truly think it's an Askren Masvidal situation. I believe if Adam secured the takedown, he would have won.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
But
I mean, to be fair, I think he underrated Hardy's takedown defense. He's been working in ATT, hasn't he? Hardy.
Yeah.
And I think he's been working specifically on his takedown defense. So he's obviously worked hard on it, and it paid off for him in the fight.
One thing that I saw on Twitter that I liked the idea of was next up for Greg Hardy, Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah,
I like that fight.
Get on board with that. Yep.
In Melbourne as well.
Maybe a bit soon, isn't it? It's a bit soon in October.
Nothing much happened really in terms of damage. He got caught with a stiff jab, but
that's true. It wouldn't be soon for Cerrone, would it? So
yeah, God, won't take a fight unless 8 weeks away.
Because everyone kind of wants Greg Hardy to get knocked out viciously, you see folks suggesting like Derek Lewis or Junior Dos Santos, but I think sensibly Tai Tuivasa is good. I also saw Blagoy Ivanov for his next fight, but personally I'd prefer Tuivasa.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good fight for both of them, to be honest, because Tuivasa, he had a bit of a momentum going, didn't he? And then he lost in Australia the last time they had an event there, and he kind of, I know he's fought since, and his momentum's really taken a bit of a shot. So it'll be a good fight for both of them for Hardy to show he deserves to be up there with the bigger boys, but also for Tuivasa to get himself back in, sort of back into the win column if he could.
Definitely.
So
mixing us up with Greg Hardy still. Sorry, very quickly. I would honestly like to see him fight Walt Harris. I think that's a good fight.
Oh, yeah, actually, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
That is a good one. But we are on to, that gives a good link to the next fight because it was Harris against Oleinik. And I predicted, by the way, I predicted that Hardy would beat Adams in the first round KO. Can I just say that? Because that's a spot on that one, yeah. And I think did you both go for Hardy as well? Or did you both pick Adams? I can't remember.
I took Adams' decision.
Yeah.
I took Adams.
Okay, so yeah, I will take no pleasure in that one. And so Walt Harris and Olenek, I think I bashed this fight as a bit of a nothing fight and saying that neither of them are going to be anywhere near the title or anything like that. And I kind of thought afterwards, the division isn't that great. Maybe Harris can fight his way in to the title talk. It was an impressive performance. Maybe he isn't that far away from having a look at that heavyweight title at some point in the next couple of years.
That's a pick that I'm proud of. I think both of you picked Olenek submission, and I took Harris by the first round knockout, so that was a surprise one.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, I think I said it's not going to get out the first round either way, but I went with Olenek because, love him.
It was most likely anyway. Like, after I made the Walt Harris pick, I thought that was daft. I should have went Olenek, but it came through, so...
Yeah, I mean, it was a clean knockout as you're going to get, and it looked to me like he really hurt his ankle on the way down, though, to be fair. It didn't look like it was in a proper shape when he went down.
I love knockouts. I've seen a fighter's hurt on the feet then gets dropped, like one final blow. They're the best knockouts for me. When one strike really hurts them, they're ready to go down, then they just get finished. Like sort of Josh Koscheck Woodley, that sort of finish.
Yeah, like ones that go down as a full KO rather than a TKO because they need to finish it with the ground strokes. So, finally, on San Antonio, RDA against Edwards. Really good time for the British MMA fans. And lots of people said it was boring. I really didn't think so.
I thought it was a fight.
I think all three of us, if I'm not mistaken, said Edwards would win by decision.
I picked RDA, sorry. I picked RDA decision.
Oh, you fool. Why are you even on this podcast?
So
yeah. So it was a really enjoyable night for... There's, the main card had a few good fights on, some duds, but and that was a really good fight from Edwards. Those left elbows out of the clinch were incredible. He controlled the whole thing.
Oh, it was ace, man. That little one, so he kept throwing, and every time he got close, just bang, throwing that left elbow, man. It was beautiful, beautiful. I honestly am pushing for Leon Edwards to get a title shot. I don't even care.
Well, he's number 4 now in the rankings, so he's not far off. So I know I'd be happy to see him get it because, he's kind of, maybe he needs one more.
Yeah, I'd accept one more. It was his wrestling that shocked me because I knew he could wrestle, but I didn't think he could wrestle as well as what he did against RDA, who's obviously a good wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, he can basically control the whole thing with those clinches. I mean, he stopped RDA's pressure for the entire fight. He couldn't get anything going whatsoever. He opened up RDA's right eye with that elbow in the second round or something, maybe even the first round. And from then on, RDA had to look after that. And it was a really, really professional, really top level performance by Edwards, in my opinion.
I know Masvidal came out and said he wants McGregor or Usman next, but I think that's the fight to make. Masvidal Edwards. I mean, they've got the London backstory to set it up anyway. Use that in promo, and then that would give a kind of clear number one contender after the rest of the divisions all played out. That'd be
especially, I guess, with Usman likely to fight probably Colby or Robbie next, then that gives a bit of time because they all need to fill something in that time as well. But Masvidal doesn't seem to want to take anything, but I think he might have to in the end. He's not in that strong a position. He's beaten 2 guys before then. He lost twice. He's not been on a massive tear or anything. He's got 2 wins in a row.
Masvidal is basically the perfect kind of advert for the issue of recency bias in MMA. There's no other sport where that's so prevalent in MMA. Recency bias is just you do something good, and that everything kind of maybe mediocre before that's forgotten about. Yeah. And you're judged purely on what your last event was.
Free Peace and Soda was the best thing that could have ever happened to Masvidal. Honestly, if that didn't happen,
100%.
It was more impressive than the win.
Yeah, if he didn't do that, in a conversation about a title shot.
I think without that 3 Peace and Soda moment, he could have even faded back into relative sort of obscurity. He would still have got a big profile fight, but he wouldn't have had this superstardom that he's found now if he hadn't.
It would have been that kind of Till lost to Masvidal, but it was one of those nights.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And it probably still was for Till's point of view. But
thinking back to it, though, I think Askren had set that fight up between him and Masvidal unintentionally before even it took place, didn't he? Because he was saying he wanted Aaron Till, and he was saying he was going to have the winner, which he was expecting to be Till.
Yeah.
So I think kind of can't get my words out.
Yeah, no, he's benefited from circumstance, and it's fine. He's making a good deal of it, and he's doing well, and he's got all of his. He's got a really good media team, I guess. So he's quite charismatic anyway.
Yeah.
So he's made a good thing of it, and he's. I just kind of think he took everything a lot too seriously with Ben Askren, but
See, just quickly on Edwards. I don't know if maybe you know off the top of your head, maybe you won't, but you think back to the 3-piece in a soda moment. If the footage of it, and a picture came out of Edwards with like under his left eye was all bleeding.
Yeah.
And I noticed, I think that's left a permanent scar on his face. Every interview I see that little line, and it seems as if that's permanently off his face.
I'll have a look next time I see him. Didn't notice that.
That like little tiny like brawl kind of backstage has permanently scarred the guy's face. Yeah, that was all. A small point I wanted to bring up. I don't know where I was going with it.
I mean, it's kind of it's interesting because nothing policey, if I can use that as an adjective, happened after that, and he basically attacked the man. It wasn't, and it's kind of, if you've got beef with somebody, I don't see that as necessarily praiseworthy that you just lash out and attack him in a stadium, if you know what I mean. I mean, Leon Edwards was having words and they were getting up in each other's faces, but you don't automatically go to throw punches at them, do you? I mean, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't come off particularly well.
It seemed very unprovoked. I mean, all he said was like, "I'll see you in July," whatever he said. That's all it was.
Yeah. So, I think
adrenaline's flowing, and is from that kind of background, and he like Masvidal. So
yeah. It's not always excusable just because it's what you've grown up with. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, it's not on the stage of the UFC either. But he's very. I think Masvidal versus Nate Diaz is the biggest fight you can make at welterweight. That is Hood Ghetto versus Ghetto. That is a fight. That
will be fire. That will be fire.
I'm a fan of Masvidal. Sorry.
No, go on. I was about to.
I'm a fan of Masvidal as a fighter, but I'm not sure I fully buy into the whole gangster like facade. It doesn't. Maybe it's not a facade. Maybe it actually is that way. But to me, it doesn't make me any more of a fan because he acts like this whole gangster who doesn't care who he hits or who he attacks.
It's kind of like if you met that man in the street and he wasn't a UFC fighter, you'd think he was a knobhead.
Exactly. That's the way I see it.
I don't know. But anyway, like I was going to say just before, because we've been going on for quite a while, I'll say that UFC 240s this weekend, we're not ignoring it, and we're going to put out a shorter audio podcast in the next couple of days, talking about that.
Yeah, we'll do our picks.
And is there anything else you want to mention before we finish off?
I'm cool. I'm happy.
I just have one. What I thought for next time for the listeners. I can't pronounce his name. Ivan, is it
Shkirtov.
Yeah, Ural Hulk, right? So he gets a 2-year suspension from USADA for doping. What was it? Baldanone or something, or Toblerone, whatever the bloody hell he is. In putting in himself anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So he gets released from the UFC immediately, and then within like the day he's signed with Ryzen and he's on the fight card.
That's the stringent anti-doping system over there is clearly
active. It's pride all over again. We're back into the days of pride.
I know obviously we all knew obviously they've got obviously Japan has the strictest of doping violations, doesn't it? But come on. It's literally just been massive news. He's been doping, and then the next day he's announced on your card. Like,
yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I don't know about you, but on Sunday morning, it's at our time. I can't wait to watch him fight.
I can't. I love it. It is. It's the best show on the planet, other than Cage
I know we've just been talking about being against, and it's not an endorsement of the fighter of Oral Hulk himself, because we've obviously just been talking about Masvidal and his character and whatever. It's not to say that we are happy with the fact that this guy's doping. It's a show, you know what I mean? It's going to be something to watch. And
he is one of those kind of freak show athlete. He's like this. He's freak show athlete, like sort of Brock Lesnar. You see him because he's an absolute man mountain. He's like an anomaly. So you go in and see what can he do in a fist fight. That's what makes it so interesting.
Exactly.
Like,
So I mean,
KS
maybe we'll touch on Rising as well when we do the 240.
I'm ready to go off on a tangent about Martin Ford now. I'm going to rein it in. I'm going to rein it in.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll add a few minutes of anything else we want to talk about, because I wanted to mention about John Lineker and UFC fighters getting really tough debut fights in one championship. So maybe we can leave that till the next one as well.
Yeah, that's a good topic to start off with tomorrow.
So if we finish off now and we say, a massive thanks to Cal Ellenor for joining us on the podcast today, and also best of luck in the fight against Gallagher, and hopefully we get to talk to him when he's got a win in Bellator Dublin after that.
Win or loss, though, we'll get happy to get him on.
He's
always up for a chat, but I'm sure he'll win. I'm actually picking him anyway. Like, I think he pulls off the upset, to be honest.
Yeah, and to be honest, it shouldn't really be that much of an upset given his career so far. So
yeah,
we'll
people underestimating him should go and watch him, because his grappling is insane. His grappling, his BJJ is high level.
Definitely.
So we look forward to that one. And again, thanks for coming on, Cal, and hopefully we'll get you on many times in the future. And that's us for this evening, I think. Anyone else disagree?
I thought Ross is going to sing the outro today.
Oh, okay, go on then, Ross.
Do we have an outro? I've had to freestyle outro.
I thought you were going to improv.
Pokemon theme song. I thought we agreed on.
I mean, that was Matt's thing. We'll come up with one for next time and we'll perform it. Anyway,
no promises.
The game of elbows. We'll do that.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.